I'm Aaron Lee, also known as Pens and Pedals, a comics creator and art educator, creator of such books as Preet's Pizza, the human son of a living pizza man must fight evil anchovies, as well as my current series, Wesley the Robot. The weather emergency system at a college radio station springs to life to learn how to dance. Both of those are available at the OswegoComicShop.com or my Pens and Pedals store on Etsy.com. So today, what I'm going to be doing is going over some of my drawings, some of my recent drawings that are holiday themed, as well as talking about some holiday-inspired comics, such as this issue of Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man, with a Terminator-inspired Santa Claus on the cover, as well as the Marvel Holiday Special from 1996 that I picked up from the Oswego Comic Shop back in 1996. So I wanted to do a festive drawing featuring my characters Wesley the Robot and Beatrice. So the first thing I did was I looked online for some public domain imagery of some people wearing holiday sweaters or just sweaters in general. And then I drew out those basic poses and modified them to make them into my own characters. I'm using Clip Studio in this, using the analog Annabelle brush from the Friendin brushes to sketch, and then the Landau Calabresian brush to ink, and adding in some color, some patterns in the background, and hey, that looks pretty good. Alright. So here are the two issues I'm going to be taking a look at today. The all-new, all-daring Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man, number 112, You'd Better Watch Out, as well as the Marvel Holiday Special from 1996, 48 big pages. So this was a gift from my wife last year, I believe. The cover is just so ridiculous that I definitely noticed it right away at my local comic shop. But one thing I noticed about this right away is the figure drawing, and the ink work on this is fantastic. So a great kind of fashion illustration. That's a great detail with the inks, good poses, good areas that are left blank, as well as areas that are rendered quite a bit, good sense of motion. The attention to the figure, specifically Spider-Man and some of these other characters, just really well done. Some great bits here about Spider-Man getting a beeper, and his beeper goes off while he's fighting Doc Ock, and then just repeated the same panel but just put an X on it to kind of be like, bam, that's not a good idea. Some cool stuff going on here where Peter Parker goes away from the Daily Bugle while he's talking to Robbie Robertson, where there's this arc that shows him flying away, or swinging away, even though it's all blue in the background. Just some great color work on this. I know we're in a different era of comics now, but this just looks so good. If somebody would just adopt this kind of style, I would be all over that. So the premise of this issue is that someone has kidnapped the regular mall Santa and is committing crimes dressed up as Santa. And Peter Parker is lonely for the holidays. He's breaking this little paddle. Then we've got Mary Jane Watson, of course, in the bathtub, listening to her messages. Just great attention to figure drawing, composition. The panel layouts are really good. Then we've got Black Cat, Felicia Hardy, in this sequence too. Great DeLuca effect with her swinging through the city. And the bit that keeps popping up here is people keep confusing her with Black Widow. Just great poses, great attention to anatomy here. You can tell that this artist is really good at figure drawing. I love this bit here with Peter Parker talking to his costume that he's just sat on a chair because he's so lonely for the holidays. Just great illustrations. I love the figure drawing. You get a real sense of weight from all these people. That's almost like he got all these people from a figure drawing class. You got all these 80s aerobics outfits and such that are always fun. Santa with a gun. A little scary. But Spider-Man's there. Jumps in to save him. Then ultimately, the real Santa Claus comes back and takes care of. That's the evil Santa Claus here. And he goes back to check at the mall the next day, and the real Santa Claus is back with a note to call his aunt, because his aunt invited Mary Jane over for the holidays, and now he's not so alone on the holidays. So Peter David, writer on this, I think he's a really good fit for Spider-Man, specifically for the comedy and stuff like that, which is what he brought to his run on Incredible Hulk at certain times. Mark Beecham, I don't know a ton about him, but I really like his work on this. Pat Redding on inks, he did a nice job. Brooke Parker, great cartoonist as well as a letterer. This is in the Jim Shooter era. But really nice layouts on this, really nice storytelling. Just feels like a good, not too dense story, but there's just enough here to entertain you and maintain your attention. Really nice job on this. The cover is very gimmicky, but a good issue. So the other thing I wanted to talk about was the Marvel Holiday Special, which I picked up from the Oswego Comic Shop back in 1996. It's a little anthology book put together with a whole bunch of different artists. Wow, it's hard to believe that the live action 101 Dalmatians came out in 96. I still haven't seen that. We've got a story about Spider-Man and J. Jonah Jameson here by Mark Waid and Pat O'Leaf, who also did the majority of the artwork for Spider-Girl. And so this is J. Jonah Jameson handing out stuff around Christmas, but it's all like cheap toys, but he's trying to get maximum publicity out of it. Spider-Man swinging around. There's a whole bunch of these toys here, and the ceiling collapses, and J. Jonah Jameson and Spider-Man get trapped underneath the rubble, and something happens to Spider-Man's mask where he has to create a temporary mask out of webbing, and J. Jonah Jameson knows it's going to dissolve in an hour and he'll find out who he is. So it's just kind of them hanging out, unable to get up out of the rubble because Spider-Man can't get any leverage to pick up the I-beam. And then he convinces J. Jonah Jameson to pick up the I-beam and free him, just as a newscopter comes in and sees J. Jonah Jameson do that. So then that's on the news, or on the front cover of the newspaper the next day, that J. Jonah Jameson saves Spider-Man, even though he's well publicized as hating him. Yeah, it's a fun little story. I think they did a good job with that. The next one is Stan Lee presents Kitty Pryde in Unto Others. It's by Evan Skolnick, pencils by Josh Hood, inks by Derek Fisher. I'm not really familiar with those creators, but looks like there's a burned church that Kitty Pryde is checking out, just kind of walking through. She sees this young girl also there. She finds out that this girl's looking for this locket, and I think they find out that this church is a black church and it was burned down by not good people. And Kitty Pryde helps this girl get the locket back, but has to reveal to her that she's a mutant by phasing through the rubble to get it. And Kitty Pryde isn't sure how she'll react, but she ends up being compassionate towards her and accepting her at the end. So that's a nice little story. Then you've got this Silver Surfer story, where George Perez did the plot, Stan Lee did the script, Rick Lenardi did the pencils, and Scott Koblish did the inks. It's a pretty nice little space story with Silver Surfer, where he's talking about the Star of Bethlehem with this little girl, and he's searched all over the universe and has not seen it, so he tells her that, and it upsets her quite a bit. And then he runs into some other creatures that have an affinity for a certain mythic star. And so he goes out to search for this mythic star that so many people seem to revere. And then he comes back to talk to that little girl that he told the Star of Bethlehem didn't exist, to tell her that he did see it. And then this one is featuring Kid Rawhide. I'm not even really sure what's going on in this. It's well drawn and everything, but it's just, for a Christmas issue, it feels really out of place. And then we've got this character that looks like concrete with wings. I'm not entirely sure what's going on here. It just feels very strange and out of place. And finally, we've got a story where we follow Wolverine and the X-Men around during the Christmas season. It's just kind of an editorial about the Christmas season and how it just exists to take people's money. Except this Santa guy does see that somebody dropped their purse and returns it. We've got Cable and Jean Grey and Cyclops giving a gift to Cable of a baseball glove so they can play catch. So that's another happy moment. Storm makes it snow outside of this place where they're selling Christmas trees. So it's just like all these nice little moments that the X-Men are making for the people in general. Bishop sees this girl looking at this doll, goes and buys it for her and gives it to her. She snatches it and runs away, and he's unsure of what's exactly happening. And they're walking along, and then they see that same little girl gave it to presumably her little sister, which is just kind of a nice little story there. So 3 out of 4 isn't too bad. That Kid Rawhide thing is just so strange to be stuck in the middle of this. It doesn't even really seem to be about anything Christmassy, at least from looking at the pictures. But all the other stories in there are pretty good. The Spectacular Spider-Man issue, if Spider-Man looked like this nowadays, I would definitely pick it up, because it had some good funny bits in here. Great illustration. Really like this a lot more than I thought I was going to. So once again, I'm Aaron Lee, aka Pens and Pedals. Some of the books that I've made are Preet's Pizza, Son of a Pizza Man, The Human Son of a Living Pizza Man, Must Fight Evil Anchovies. $10 either at my Etsy store, my Pens and Pedals Etsy store, or oswegocomicsshop.com. I even have a little quote here from Episcor from when they reviewed my book on their channel. It said, "Yo, this is fresh." Then I've got my other book, Wesley the Robot, the weather emergency system at a college radio station comes to life and wants to learn how to dance. Inside these, I also have interviews with bands like The Faint, Interpol, Abso Facto, Berenstain, all kinds of different bands. A real passion project that combines my love of music and comics into one project. Alright, thanks for watching. You can like and subscribe, and have a great rest of your day. We'll see you next time.